Hi everyone, my name is Aaron, and I like to encourage you all that are experiencing suffering through particular weaknesses that you have right now at this time. And I want to help you through letting you know the reality of the blessing you have through these weaknesses. You know, a lot of Christians see weaknesses as just a bad thing. Suffering is just a bad thing, and definitely the non-Christians believe it. You know, it's just like unlucky or just a death sentence sometimes. But the Christian, we are set free by the truth, as Jesus says, and I want to share that truth with you. I talk about a lot of other subjects, you know, in my other videos, but I want to pinpoint on some of the stuff that could greatly benefit suffering people, and this is helping you boast in your sufferings, to boast in your weaknesses, as it says in 2 Corinthians 12. And we could start with 2 Corinthians 12:9, and that's one of my favorite verses. And this is where Paul has a thorn in his side. We don't know exactly what it is, but some scholars say it might have been seizures. But after he asked the Lord to take it away 3 times, the Lord responded, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why for Christ's sake I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, and persecutions, and difficulties, for I am weak. For when I am weak, then I am strong." This is you, Christian. This is you, saint. When you're weak, then you are strong. Okay, it doesn't say that God is strong in you. It says that you are strong because God is your life. His strength is your strength. So a lot of some of the people I spoke to, I noticed that a lot of the people that suffer, the age ranges from like 20 to actually 50, but the average seems to be around 30. And I noticed that a lot of us who are suffering really bad, or, you know, I suffered, you know, a couple years ago, but a lot of the people right now that are suffering, they were majority on fire Christians before they entered this suffering. And it's no accident, you know, this is the weakness that's been given to you for God to refine you in the fire. And I'm encouraging you to open your eyes, ask God to open your eyes to the blessings through this suffering. And may you go so far as to boast in it. And it's not going like really far. That's actually the reality of what we should be doing, because it's good news. And I want to share like something I went through, and this is why I'm making the video, because I have something that I experienced recently that I know could help you. You know, so as you know, I went through my trial about 2 years ago or so, and like it started with Korean ginseng and developed by insomnia and created all that stuff. And it's been so long since I suffer from insomnia. But one day I was actually talking to someone, you know, from the YouTube channel, and after I spoke, I went to go to bed, and I just couldn't sleep at all. And even when I was going through my panic attacks and all that stuff during my hardest times, I always got some sleep, you know? And so I had no anxiety or panic attacks or anything that I knew of, and I could not sleep at all. You know, maybe I did a little bit, but it's one of those where it felt like I just stayed awake the entire night. And I believe it was supernatural. It was just something that was keeping my eyes awake, and I believe it was demonic. You know, it was actually pretty scary for me. Like, it was my first time experiencing this thing again after like over 2 years, and I started getting flashbacks, you know. But I remembered, you know, the promises of God. But regardless, the next day came, and I'm like, oh, I remember this feeling. I was just exhausted. My lower back was hurting, just really, really tired, and I just didn't know what happened. And I was hurting. I'm like, what's going on? You know, and I'm like, oh, I hate this feeling of being so tired and weak. And as I was going through the day, I noticed that I changed just from the day before, where more gentleness and love and patience and kindness came out of me. But the number one thing was love. Out of my weakness, I saw clearly the manifestation of Jesus in and through me. And I know that's what the trial did for me, ultimately. And I saw this so clearly, just like yesterday versus today. And this is where 2 Corinthians 12:9 came to mind. It says, my power is made perfect in weakness. It's a truth. So I praise God and I thank them for showing me this truth in such a real way. Sometimes we have to experience the fire in order to know His truth. And a lot of it comes through the fire and the suffering. And I want to encourage you that what you're going through, as I said in my other videos, it's a gift. Okay, it's a way for God to break you and to manifest Himself in and through you. Okay, how else can Jesus live in and through you if you're in control? So through the weakness that you're given, I hope you can boast in it, because that's the truth that will set you free. That Romans 8:20 says He uses all things for your good. And when things are just, seems like it's going out of control, you got to hold on to the core promises. And one of them, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He will make your path straight. That's what He said. Don't trust in yourself. I don't care what your IQ is or how many PhDs you have or how many hard times you've gone through in the past. God says, don't trust in yourself, but trust in Him completely. And when He says to lean not on your own understanding, leaning is to put your weight on something. So in this case, don't put your weight on yourself at all, but lean on Him completely. Put all your weight on Him. Trust in Him completely and leave it in His hands. And one of the things I was kind of struggling with was when I was talking to certain people, that they were going through some demonic attacks, some stuff that I've never dealt with personally, and I don't know if I've even met people that went through that kind of stuff. I read about it and heard about it, but the spirit of fear started kind of working in me, and I felt like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I can't handle this, and I got scared. And at a certain time, a couple of days later, an email came, and like a quiet time thing, and one verse just stood out. And it was 2 Timothy 3:5, and it says, "Do not be afraid to suffer for the Lord." That's what it said while I was struggling with that, and I got so emboldened. I said, "There's no reason to be afraid, and you just commanded it, God. I won't be afraid." And then the fear went away. I said, whatever happens, it's going to be for my good. And, in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 16, it says, "Take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." Those flaming arrows, I believe, are lies that create fear, and they create all sorts of chaos in our lives in the form of mental illness. And so the demonic stuff that comes and attacks us, that's one form of flaming arrows, along with the lies. And I heard this recently from, I can't remember his name anymore, I just heard it somewhere, and I'm not going to say exactly right, but it was from a pastor of old, probably hundreds of years ago. And he says something along the lines that when the devil shoots those flaming arrows at us, it's intended to kill us, but God doesn't allow anything out of His will, and He uses everything for our good. And so when one of those arrows get passed and God allows it to come at us, it's no longer a flaming arrow destined to hurt us, but now it becomes a refining fire from the Lord. As Tim Keller says, God gives the devil just enough rope to hang himself. That's the reality, guys. We have nothing to fear. I don't care how scary the devil roars like a scary lion. He can't do anything without God's permission. And if God gives him the permission to do whatever he wants, whatever he does to us, it is literally the refining fire of God that's for our good. So whatever weakness you're experiencing, I want you to see the reality of why you should boast in it. Okay, because through your weakness, his power is made perfect. What an honor, because of your weakness, you could see that. You could experience it. And I want you to keep an eye out for that. In your weakness, look for the fruit of the Spirit, in particular love. Okay? I know how hard it is for some of you guys, and don't give up. All right? Don't give up. Jesus will get you through this as long as you trust in him, I promise you. God bless you guys.